Hello, New Zealand. This is the broadcasting unit with the New Zealand forces in the Middle East. When this war is over and the history of the Middle East campaign is written, there are two sections of the New Zealand forces whose activities will make a story infinitely more exciting than the wildest fiction. At home in New Zealand, you will already have heard of the work done by the RMT. In other words, the Reserve Motor Transport. Different officers and men of this unit have already broadcast to you some brief details of their work in the advance of the Army of the Nile into Libya and Cyrenaica. But if this war has done one thing more than another, it has proved the value of complete and thorough preparedness and organization. And long before that day in early December last, when the order was given to advance against the enemy, men had ranged far and wide throughout huge areas of this vast country of North Africa, harassing the Italians in the heart of Libya, raiding Italian garrisons in the isolated depths of the interior, attacking and destroying enemy outposts and fortifications, mapping for the use of our troops areas of country in which no European had previously set foot. The men who did this work are known, as is the custom in this war, merely by a set of initials. We in the Middle East have heard from time to time odd stories and sidelines of a small unit known as the LRDG, or in full, the Long Range Desert Group. Sometimes they are referred to as the LRP, or Long Range Patrol. And these men have comprised mostly New Zealanders, officers and men, under the command of a select few British officers who for the past 10 years have spent their leave exploring the Libyan desert just for fun. But the result of their combined knowledge has been very far from funny for the Italians, as events have proved. Up to now, publicity that has been released concerning the progress of the war in the North African sector of the Middle East has been restricted to the country fringing the coast of the Mediterranean. You have heard often enough, both over the air and in the pages of your daily paper, what this part of the desert country is like. A featureless plateau near the sea, with scattered tufts of camel thorn and heaps of boulders here and there, terminates in the well-known escarpment. Down below, at sea level, such roads as do exist flank the Mediterranean. Rains from off the sea do fall occasionally, not often, it's true, but sufficient to encourage the Bedouin to make an attempt at cultivation here and there. But further inland, the desert sweeps back towards the equator, and for a distance of nearly 1,000 miles, south of the oases of Siwa, Sharabub, Jalo and Marada, the desert is a very different and infinitely more terrifying place. These oases are separated by hundreds of miles, and in this country, you may get rain twice in 25 years. You may, or again you may not. In any case, the desert there is as lifeless as the country of the moon. Actually, it's like a nightmare come to life, or bare plateaus bordered by abrupt cliffs, dropping 1,000 feet and more, alternate with limitless stretches of the great sand sea. Parts of the desert covered by our men crossed old trails, tracks of motor vehicles still visible in the sand. Incredible though it seems, it was proved that some of these tracks were made by the vehicles attached to the Duke of Westminster's motorized column during the Great War, a quarter of a century ago. Now the men whose voices you will shortly hear have worked and journeyed for months in this same territory. So as you listen to them, consider the background to which they have now become accustomed.
Hello, New Zealand. This is the broadcasting unit with the New Zealand forces in the Middle East. In your papers at home, you must have read in detail some accounts of the work accomplished by the LRDG, or Long Range Desert Group. New Zealanders will always be proud of the fact that most of the personnel of the LRDG consisted of specially chosen New Zealand men. These, both officers and other ranks, were under the command of 3 British officers who in the days of peace had prospected all over the Sahara and Libyan deserts in preparation for the war that someday might come along. And now let us introduce to you one New Zealand officer who for months past has journeyed with his men on long expeditions through territory that practically defies description. So here is Captain L.B. Ballantyne, who before the war was sheep farming at Pongaroa, Hawke's Bay.
I just want to say a few words about the New Zealand soldiers in the Long Range Desert Group. The men will tell you about incidents and phases of our desert work later. In the first place, the men were carefully selected, mostly from the divisional cavalry and machine gunners. They were keen when they started work, and have become keener as their work has gone on. Our first patrol was in the hot season, when the temperature seldom dropped below 105, and on several occasions topped 120 degrees. The chaps stood it well, and 1 gallon of water a day for all purposes did not unduly distress them. I have seen them unsticking trucks in soft sand when the sand was hot enough to blister the skin, but there was no growling. I admit that their language on such occasions was not always all that it should have been. On 4 occasions I have seen them in action, and no officer could wish for steadier troops. Anything to be done was always carried out fearlessly, and never a man took any undue precaution. Perhaps the aerial bombing the patrols have had from time to time, when found by Italian planes, has been the greatest test of nerves. The chaps always remain cool and have developed a technique of dodging bombs when in the open. At no time has bombing been allowed to interfere with the work in hand. The planes invariably get shot at and usually have to keep high up. The greatest test we have been subjected to yet was a strong ground attack last month. Although outnumbered and outgunned, not a man panicked. The shooting was good and the gunners were steady. I would like to mention here Corporal Rex Beach, whose devotion to duty undoubtedly saved us many lives. He calmly engaged 3 Italian machine guns and a heavy gun until killed at his post. A very fine soldier, and New Zealand may be proud of him. Also, I must mention Sergeant Cyril Hewson, who led his troop into action at Mazook and was killed in action there. The decorations awarded to Lieutenant Sutherland and Trooper Wilcox for gallantry at Ain-Dieu speak for themselves. They were very well earned. I will leave others to tell you of some of the incidents, grim or otherwise, of our patrols. I would like to conclude by saying that I am proud of our New Zealand soldiers and consider it an honour to command them.
It is sometimes called. And that brings another thought to mind, the vital importance of communications. In communications, we've got an expert on that particular side, Sergeant J.R. Shepherd, whose home in New Zealand is in Hamilton. And we'll see if we can. It's going to be rather a hard job, but we'll see if we can get him to give some details and some talk on that subject. Well, now, Sergeant Shepherd, how about telling us a little bit of the work that was involved in communicating from one patrol to another?
Well, it's very difficult to make a story out of that. When we first outfitted and went out, we were new to the business, and we had to find the frequencies, correct frequencies, times that were suitable, and we had to experiment a lot with aerials. Well, actually, on the first trip, it was quite a good success. We had our difficulties, especially in the evenings. There is a blackout period when the noise level becomes very great. Interference is heavy, of course, from commercial and automatic stations. But apart from that, we got through quite all right. There was some very long periods at times. It was well after midnight before a message was finished with. On account of being code, no mistakes can be made.
You've got a certain amount of interference, you say. Well, what about the distances that your sets would cover that you'd communicate to each other from? Just a few miles?
Well, no, actually, it was an Army set, a standard make, and with the aerials that we were using, the Army handbook lays down that the distance would be 250 miles. That's the maximum distance. Well, on our first trip, we did work from between 450 and 500 miles.
As far as that?
As far as that.
Well, now, out there in the desert, particularly in the part of the desert that you were in, where the distances are so tremendous, what about accidents to the gear? You must have had to carry a tremendous amount of spares.
No, actually we carried very few. We had one valve, like one spare valve, and the one in the set, that was the 2 valves, and a spare ammeter, a spare key, a few things like that, and a few brushes for the motors.
Goodness me, you'd have to take care of them. But what about accidents? Some of that country was pretty rough. Did you ever have any tumbles?
Oh, yes, our vehicle went down and she did about 3 rolls in the dark one evening. And we just rolled her over, onto the wheels again, started her up. And
What's that tune they just playing? I used to sing that with the old sweet melody. I love your charming manner. To be with you is just my one desire. I love to call you Lena. Your eyes say Talia. My little Jimmy, you're quite pretty. Blue eyes of fire that make me stand and smile. To be with you is just my one desire. And I'll always call you Lena, 'cause it rhymes with Talahina. My little Jerome, you're quite pretty. Talahina, on the books of Daisy. I'd love to show you just how I can love. Though your fingers are ready, I love you, yeah, baby. My little Jerome, you're quite pretty. I love to call you Lena, as your eyes say, Lena. My little Jerome, you're quite pretty. You're quite pretty. Swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. 'Twas on the good ship Venus, my word you should have seen us. We stayed in bed and swung the lead, drank all the grog between us. Oh, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. The captain's wife was Mabel, and as often as they were able, she and the mate played Kiss Me Kate around the mess room table. Swinging in the rigging, yeah, swinging in the rigging, oh, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. The cabin boy's name was Clipper, a saucy little nipper. He filled the bath with broken glass, you should have seen the skipper. Oh, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. The ship's dog's name was Robo. 3 times we threw him over. We tried to drown that faithful owl from Aberdeen to Dover. Swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. The ship's cook's name was Freeman. When faced with half-starved seamen, he made a stew of shipyard glue and they whacked it up between them. Swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. The skipper had a daughter, she fell into the water. Frightened squeals proclaimed that eels were on the starboard quarter. Oh, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging, swinging in the rigging where there's nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. Oh, give me a heart to my Africa star and a clasp to wear on my breast. And I'll stay here in place with a smile on my face, content on my laurels to rest. Star, beautiful star, I wonder just how good you are. But if you care to shout, I'll tell you about the bravery that won me my star. We'll soon have an 8 to distinguish our fate, like the boys who are up near the line. But we feel it's not fair, as they all did their share, even those who were in Palestine. Star, beautiful star, I wonder just how good you are. But if you care to shout, I'll tell you about the bravery that won me my star. We feel it's a shame that they left out the names of the girls in that street of such fame. They were long, fat or small, but they gave up their all to the heroes of El Alamein. Star, beautiful star, I wonder just how good you are. But if you care to shout, I'll tell you about the bravery that won me my star. And after the war, when we're fed up and sore, then we find we're not heroes no more. We'll still have our star from the Muskie Bazaar hanging up on the old cookhouse door. Star, beautiful star, I wonder just how good you are. But if you care to shout, I'll tell you about the bravery that won me my star.
Oh, White whiskey, white beer. Hey, George, which way to the Pam Pam? Come on, Hickory, we haven't got all night.
Manish, the Pam Pam Kiwi. I take you to very good Marshall. Very good mince pies, Katia.
That'll do then. Come on, fellas, get into this one.
Iowa, side up Iowa, Tennessee, Iowa, shorty, you been to Cairo, you know what I mean. You've heard of the music of Benny Goodman, Tommy Dorsey, and stars like those. But have you heard of the kind of rhythm that put the pep in the Eastern shows? He used to play in the slums of Cairo for all the kids in the neighborhood. He got them swinging and they described him as twice Katia, so very good. All the green-eyed bits and the grinning wallets stood around with their eyes agog and swayed their hips to the rockin' rhythm of Ali Yusuf, the swinging walk. Iowa, side up Iowa, Panama Street, Iowa, shooty, you been to Cairo, you know what I mean. Hop musicians are gathered round him. They found a jive and his fame increased. They practiced daily and now he's leading the hottest band in the Middle East. They held jam stations in the low-down quarters, stamping ground down Naughty Way. The low-class pimps and the fascist daughters they went to town when they heard him play. Iowa, side up Iowa, Panama Street, Iowa, shooty, you been to Cairo, you know what I mean. Somewhere in the caves of Tura lived a singing fool, so magnoon that his brains were missing, 'cause he never went to a public school, but he could sing on a glass of beer, had a voice like a foo-foo boy, the sort of rhythm that drives you crazy, the best technique you ever heard. He joined up with the swinging Yusef, worked up numbers for the band who played, and when they got in the groove together, they stole the show from Cab Calloway. Iowa, Taita, Iowa, Panama City, Iowa, shooty, you been to Cairo, you know what I mean. And now they're playing in the highbrow quarters, the names are made and the whole world raised for the swinging walk from slums of Cairo and singing folk from the Tura caves. Iowa, Taita, Iowa, Panama Street, Iowa, shooty, you been to Cairo, you know what I mean. Most across the desert. Oh, how happy we will be when we reach old Miserata on the road to Tripoli. Rocky Mountains of Takrura, where the Remus sleeps so still. For his courage we'll remember Nariu's victory hill.
From Osonia's sunny mountains to Casino's blood and hill, on to the eternal city, Rosanone, fare thee well.
Rolling wheels across Italia, will be hard to make it thrill. When the blue Pacific waters roll again beneath our feet, but we always will remember in the sunshine and the rain all the pals we left behind us, who won't be coming home again.
Now we're marching home at last, and our troubles all are past. You can tell that we're the boys from down below. I've no doubt that you have heard of that famous flightless bird, the kiwi who will always have a go. In the jungle, in the air, in the desert he was there, upon the rolling sea from shore to shore. If you want some company to go out on the spree, he'll show you he was weaned on bottled beer.
Bottle beer? Give me draft beer anytime, boy.
Oh, a mighty fine ship on the ocean she flits, sailing by night and by day. When she's in motion, she's the pride of the ocean. You can't see her tail sharp or spray. Oh, side, side, motto, I sigh. The captain looks on her with pride. He'd have a blue fit if he saw any grit on the side of the motto, I sigh. This is my story, this is my song. We're in the army, the bloomin' long. Roll out the Rodney, salvage the hood. For our merchant navy is no flamin' good. Isolé, Isolé, Isolé. When I get to Auckland, our bloomin' will say Isolé, 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 Isolé. From Auckland to Cairo and all for the long way.
Come on, Jack. We're seeing you, fella.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies high and the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day.
On that morning when this life is on, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
When the shadows of this life is o'er, I'll fly away.
Like a bird from prison walls has flown, I'll fly away.
I'll fly away from me. I'll fly away.
When I die, hallelujah, by and by,
I'll fly away. Just a few more weary hours and then I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
through that land where joy shall never end, I'll fly away.
I'll fly away. Oh, glory. I'll fly away.
When I die, hallelujah, by and by,
I'll fly away.